Good evening. It's Tuesday, October 16th, 2001. I'm Kelly S. Snow.
And I'm Courtney Maines. Tonight on Clarion's very own TV5 News, we'll have the latest on the events happening around the world.
Also, we will have university activities.
And as always, Marjorie Reed will be here with the weather. And the weather has changed quite a bit today. Fall is in the air. The weather outside today has had quite a change to what we've expected these last couple of days. As you can see, it rained for most of the day today with quite a bit of wind. Later in the show, TV5's own Marjorie Reed will join us with a complete look at the forecast.
But first, the latest from the attacks. The threat of bioterrorism has become a reality in America. Over a half dozen people have tested positive for the anthrax exposure, and numerous false alarms have shaken the nerves of an already jittery nation. CNN's Eric Phillips recaps the recent spat of anthrax outbreaks.
And Pakistan has sent journalists to hear theirs. The night before, as U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell came to praise Pakistan, India sent it a strong warning from its positions in Kashmir. India, which accuses Pakistan of backing a terrorist insurgency in Kashmir, punitive action on military posts here at the border village of Jangalora. Nonsense, says Pakistan. Only civilians were hurt.
Yeah, no. We apologize for the technical difficulties on that one. Clarion County Commissioners approved the personnel policy. Several changes have been made to improve the old policy. All the changes were minor and were made only to improve upon old policies. All the new policies were immediately placed into effect.
Clarion University was the host of College Media Day. This year's event hosted many speakers from Clarion University and from around the country. Speakers like Clarion graduate Bob Costner from MTV spoke. Costner encouraged students to go out and take risks and perform their jobs to the best of their ability. Other speakers, like Clarion University professor Pat Kennedy, spoke on how students can protect themselves from lawsuits. Many panel discussions were held throughout the day to discuss the different types of media coverage and technique. The goal is to teach the seriousness of drinking and driving. TV5's own Mark Desatakis was there and has the story. Mark?
1 minute, a life changed. And that life changed because of a drunk driver. But thankfully, this accident wasn't real. It was part of a program organized by Clarion University students to bring light to the dangers of drunk driving. Organizer and actress in the mock accident, Jill Reinhardt, hoped this scene got the message across.
I know a lot of high schools and stuff put these on before prom, but I'm sure a lot of people did, because I know when they first saw the cars coming in, they were like, what's going on, and I think they realized that this could actually happen, this one day could be them.
The mock accident brought in Clarion Borough Police, Clarion Fire Department, Clarion Hospital, as well as Stat Medevac.
We worked real close with the students here. I thank them. They did a terrific job putting this all together. Between myself and them, we met a couple times. We put everything together. I contacted the emergency services, and we have done these drills before, but we also work together every day of the week. So,
firefighters and EMS crews work at this mock crash scene in the attempts of getting a message across to those who are watching. And those firefighters and EMS crews hope they will never have to actually respond to a drunk driving accident of this magnitude.
It's good for the students to see, and again, it's not just the students. I hope the community that I saw around here tonight watching is also taking some of this in, so it's good for them.
It's pretty gruesome. I would never want that to happen to me, ever. If a kid lost his girlfriend, that's a pretty horrible thing. I wouldn't know how to deal with that.
So here outside of Nair Hall, the crowd is dissipated and the fire trucks are leaving. But organizers of this event hope that the crowd that was here to watch tonight will think twice before they drink and drive. At Clarion University, Mark Desatakis, TV5 News.
Thanks, Mark. Up next, Chris Portman will join us with thoughts from Clarion County veterans.
But first, here's a look at tonight's lottery numbers.
of the programming was made possible through a grant by Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
Wardrobe for some TV5 news anchors, provided by Fashion Bug. Located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all, with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
This portion of the program was made possible through a grant from Clarion Hospital. Clarion Hospital is located off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Clarion Hospital offers outpatient services, transitional care, as well as an emergency room open around the clock every day of the year. More than 400 employees and 80 physicians work to serve the community. Call the Clarion Hospital at 226-9500. Clarion Hospital, providing health care to Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1954.
Do you want complete coverage of local, state, national, and international news as it happens? Then tune into Clarion's very own TV5 News Live for complete coverage of the Clarion area and our world. TV5 News crews join with crews from the world's news leaders, CNN, to provide complete coverage of the day's events. With advanced satellite capabilities, TV5 News can bring you the latest news as it happens. So tune in every Tuesday and Wednesday night for Clarion's very own TV5 News Live.
This is TV5 News Live. After the events of September 11th, many in this nation have been affected. The attacks and subsequent retaliation have caused much debate, especially among veterans. Our Chris Portman talked with some local veterans today. Chris?
With the recent military strikes against Afghanistan, many Americans feel the U.S. response is appropriate and needed. Veterans here at the VFW Post 2145 took some time today and talked to me about their feelings of the strikes. Bud Banner, a former U.S. Navy sailor, felt like many that the president has taken responsible action in the strikes. He feels you cannot compare the bombings of Pearl Harbor to the September 11th attacks, mainly because the nation was more prepared for war in 1941 than in 2001. In my search to understand the veterans' feelings, I turned to Vietnam veteran Don Montgomery, who told me his first reaction to the news of the attack.
Shocked. The first plane, I was at work, I heard it on the radio, and, well, maybe it was an accident. You don't really think that it would happen like that. But the second plane, you knew something was wrong, but you just don't think of that. You're here. That don't happen here.
Like Banner, Montgomery feels this conflict cannot be compared to Vietnam.
Vietnam, supposedly we were fighting communism. Here, now we're fighting terrorism.
Montgomery also pointed out to young people just how beneficial the military can be.
That gives you an opportunity for teamwork, and plus you can get money for college.
I also had a chance to talk with Chris Priester, who not only served in the Gulf War, but also had an interesting story to talk about in dealing with the September 11th attacks.
I was the first one down there for our company, and I went down there ahead to clear the frequencies for the cell site.
Although he didn't see the actual crash location, Priester said he was close to the wreckage.
Couldn't see any of the crash site from where I was, but from what authorities told me, it was just over the hill.
So, for the most part, the veterans here at the VFW Post 2145 are showing overwhelming support for the president and his handlings in this international conflict. From the VFW, Chris Portman, TV5 News.
Local government leaders are being advised to carefully review their emergency response blueprints. Norman Smith, the state's top terrorist planner, spoke to some 100 municipal officials in Harrisburg yesterday. Smith reminded them that small towns are not immune to possible terrorist attacks. Richard Wessel, the curriculum coordinator at the state's fire school in Lewistown, says the warning about possible attacks in small Pennsylvania towns have been ignored. Officials are also being warned about the possible threat to livestock from persons attempting to introduce agricultural diseases to herds.
The FBI says so far no direct links have been found between organized terrorism and anthrax cases around the country, but there is more evidence that two of those cases may be connected. The handwriting on the tainted letter sent to Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle's personal office appears to match the handwriting on a contaminated letter sent to the NBC News anchor Tom Brokaw. And sources say the strain of anthrax found in the Daschle letter was very pure and of a, quote, professional grade. Both the Daschle and Brokaw letters were postmarked in Trenton, New Jersey. An FBI spokesman says the Bureau is working on anthrax cases in Florida, New York, Reno, Nevada, and Washington, D.C. Attorney General John Ashcroft says anthrax hoaxes are no joke, and he promises prosecution of those responsible.
False terrorist threats tax the resources of an already overburdened enforcement system and a public health system. They create illegitimate alarm in a time of legitimate concern. Terrorism hoaxes are not victimless crimes, but are the destructive acts of cowards. The Department of Justice will prosecute and punish with the full force of our laws those who issue false anthrax threats or any other form of terrorist threat.
Supporting that promise to crack down on fake anthrax threats, the Attorney General cited the indictment of an employee working for a Connecticut state agency. He says the man knew a note and powder left on his desk were a hoax, but stood by as the building was evacuated and later lied to federal investigators. Ashcroft says if the man is convicted, he could face 5 years in prison and potential fines up to $3 million.
Coinciding with Secretary of State Colin Powell's trip to South Asia, new tensions rising between India and Pakistan. The Indian Army says it shot 11 Pakistan military posts across the ceasefire line in Kashmir. Pakistani officials in Kashmir say 2 areas were attacked. Christian Amanpour had a first-hand look.
Laboratory tests performed on a letter received Monday by Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle's office confirm it contained anthrax.
The letter was opened about 10:15 yesterday morning. A chalky powder fell out of the envelope.
Several aides are being tested for exposure, and officials are checking the building.
We don't think it came into the ventilation system. What we want to do, though, is make sure that it did not.
A 7-month-old boy who visited ABC News in late September has been diagnosed with cutaneous, or the skin form of anthrax. He's expected to make a full recovery. This after an NBC Nightly News employee in New York tested positive for cutaneous anthrax after opening a letter addressed to Tom Brokaw. Mayor Rudy Giuliani is once again reassuring New Yorkers.
The mail is safe. The number of cases that we've had, both either in New York or nationally, are an infinitesimal amount of mail that moves.
In Florida, an employee of publisher American Media has been moved to intensive care stricken with inhalation anthrax. One other employee there died of that form of the disease. Halfway around the world, the U.S. air campaign over Afghanistan continues. Secretary of State Colin Powell is meeting with leaders in neighboring Pakistan and India to reaffirm America's position that the target of the war is terrorism.
That we have no quarrel with the Islamic faith or the Afghan people. Our campaign is against those who pervert a great religion in the service of evil.
The story you just saw was a recap of the story you were supposed to see earlier in the broadcast. We apologize for the technical difficulties once again. President Bush is thanking the young boys and girls of America for their donations and generosity to children in Afghanistan. Speaking at the Red Cross headquarters in Washington, he said every dollar raised will be spent on the needs of Afghan children who are now suffering.
Why would somebody hate so badly that they would fly airplanes to take lives? Why? Why is it that people send ugly things to the mail? And my answer is there's evil in the world, but we can overcome evil. We're good.
President Bush says the White House has received 90,000 pieces of mail so far for the Fund for Afghan Children. First Lady Laura Bush was out and about advancing 2 of her priorities on Tuesday. By example, she is continuing to urge Americans to get back to life as usual, following terrorist assaults, as she was back in the classroom selling children on the advantages of reading and education. This stop was in Newark, New Jersey as part of her participation in Teach for America Week. This is an annual nationwide event that encourages American leaders from all professions to spend an hour of their time teaching children from the nation's disadvantaged neighborhoods.
Joining us now with the weather is TV5's very own Marjorie Reed. Marjorie?
Thank you, ladies, and good evening. Well, either someone forgot to turn off a faucet today, or it's just been wet, cold, and windy. And I've got some bad news. It looks like it's going to continue for most of the week and into the weekend. So let's take a look at the satellite map behind me. There's a cloud system over our area, which has been bringing the colder temperatures, wind, and rain for most of the western part of the state. For the east, it's clear skies and warm temperatures. Looking at the precipitation map, we've got showers for most of the western part of the state into Ohio and down into West Virginia. The east part of the state, clear skies and no rain. As for the temperatures, because of the storm system, they've dropped in our area. For most of us, we have been experiencing highs in the 50s, and right along the New York State border, highs are in the 60s. But the temperatures are going to be colder for them this weekend. Moving on to the front map. This storm system you see behind me is what has been bringing the wind, cold temperatures, and the rain. It'll be moving off to the east for the weekend, bringing sunshine and warmer temperatures Thursday and Friday. So now for your 5-day forecast. Wednesday, showers likely with highs in the 40s and lows in the 30s. Thursday, mostly cloudy, highs in the 50s, lows in the 30s. Friday, partly sunny, scattered showers are expected, highs in the 60s and lows in the 30s. Saturday, showers are expected with highs in the 50s, lows in the 30s. And for Sunday, showers expected, highs are in the 60s, lows in the 30s. So if you're planning on doing anything this weekend, make sure you grab that umbrella. Try to stay dry, warm, and I'll see you back here next Tuesday. Back to you, ladies.
Coming up next, Matt Ness will join us with a look into the sports world.
But up first, a look at tonight's stop.
It was Midnight Madness with both the men and women teams taking to the hardwood for the first official practice of the season. The women, led by head coach G. Parsons, are looking to improve upon last year's 10-16 season. The men, behind head coach Ron Ryder, are set to commence the defense of their PSAC title. The regular season for both teams begin November 16th and 17th, with the women taking part in the Clarion Classic tournament, while the men will be taking part in the Subway KFC tournament. After the firing of head coach Ivan Holinka yesterday, the Pens elevated assistant Rich Kehoe to the chief position behind the bench. Kehoe, the third leading scorer in Pens history, now becomes the fourth coach in 3 years, following Kevin Constantine, Herb Brooks, and Holinka. Immediately, the new bench boss has put his mark on the Pens, moving Martin Straka and Alexei Kovalev to the number 1 line alongside Mary Lemieux. Chris Beach and Alexei Morozov join Robert Lang on the second line. After the coaching shakeup, the Pens are in action tonight against Ottawa, looking for their first win of the 2001-2002 campaign. The National League Championship is set to begin tonight with the Atlanta Braves facing off the Arizona Diamondbacks. In what should be a classic pitching duel, the Braves will send Greg Maddux to square off with Diamondback ace Randy Johnson. In the American League Championship Series, it will feature 3-time defending World Series champion New York Yankees and the 116-win Seattle Mariners. That's all for the TV5 Sports Report. I'm Matt Ness. Now back over to Kelly and Porter.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Tune in tomorrow night with Jackie Nealon and Mark Despotakis. Good night.